and the crew.
Our chief photographer, Mike Van Susteren, was just in Tokyo.
So maybe he had some.
No, I asked him about this, and he said there's pudding shops.
Oh.
That everybody's after, but not.
There you have it.
Tapioca.
Not tapioca.
Thanks for helping out today.
Sure thing.
Susan will be back tomorrow. Hope to see you then. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, day 4 of the trial for the truck driver accused of crashing into a school bus full of kids last year. We'll take you to the courtroom.
And Wisconsin Democratic leaders, or lawmakers that is, are calling on Republicans to pass a gun bill, what it includes and how Republicans are reacting.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
First, we have a developing story out of Tennessee. NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., his wife, daughter, and 2 pilots have been taken to the hospital following a plane crash in Elizabethton. Now, the FAA says the plane rolled off the end of the runway and caught fire after landing at the airport. The cause of this crash is still under investigation. We'll have much more over on Channel3000.com.
A jury will soon be deliberating the fate of an Indiana truck driver accused of slamming into a school bus full of children on the interstate north of Madison last year.
Wayne Murphy faces charges for being under the influence of prescription drugs. Today, he took the stand in his own defense. Charlotte DeLeste has more details on what he had to say in court. Charlotte?
Well, Danica and Eric, Murphy testified that he did as directed by a physician when taking his anxiety medication, that he felt normal as he drove up the interstate near Madison. He claimed his erratic driving was due to navigating uneven pavement through a construction zone. Prosecutors in closing arguments say that far too many pills were missing in a short period of time and that his intentional overuse of his prescription led him to collide with that bus parked along the interstate, dealing with mechanical issues, seriously injuring 5 students.
It happened suddenly for those kids and the teachers and parents on the bus. There was nothing sudden about it from the defendant's perspective. It was predictable, it was foreseeable, and it was inevitable.
But in fact, there's no medical or toxicological opinion that there was impairment by Mr. Murphy.
Prosecutors argue he was impaired and in an unclear state of mind when he hit the road that morning. Murphy testified that he felt normal and relaxed when he left South Beloit. The jury will have to decide on 10 counts facing Murphy, including 5 counts of injury by intoxicated use of a vehicle and 5 more felony counts of second-degree reckless injury. We will continue to monitor this as the jury gets the case and when they're ready to render a verdict.
Certainly something we'll be updating throughout the evening. Thank you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Charlotte. All right, new information about the human remains found on private property up in Columbia County. A homeowner in Harmony Grove called authorities on Sunday after finding what appeared to be a bone fragment in landscaping material. A specialized canine searched the area for additional remains but didn't find any. Columbia County investigators are now working with a medical examiner, the state crime lab, and other agencies to learn more. The sheriff is reminding everyone the body of Beth Coots has never been found. Coots was last seen back in 2000. Her estranged husband was sentenced to life in prison for her murder. Madison police and the Dane County Sheriff confirmed several reports of white supremacy flyers circulating in the area.
A Madison police spokesperson calls this language disgusting, but it is generally protected, according to him, by free speech. Jamie Perez spoke to police and the sheriff's office about these flyers, and she joins us with what you should do if you find one in your community. Jamie?
All right, well, there's actually several different ways that our local law enforcement is handling this. Madison police say that per the Department of Justice, these flyers should not be given attention unless you feel specifically targeted by them. The Dane County Sheriff's Office say that they're actually collecting these flyers from people who report them, and they're using them as evidence to figure out who is doing this and if it can be considered a hate crime depending on each situation. Now, we've blurred out the text on these flyers to not perpetuate these hateful messages. Police say they found 7 of these on North Fair Oaks Avenue, 1 on County Highway N in Cottage Grove, 1 in the town of Albion, and 1 in Pleasant Springs. Madison police told us the Wisconsin Statewide Intelligence Center says they don't contain threats and don't indicate criminal behavior. But the Dane County Sheriff says these types of things need to stop before they lead to something worse.
Well, I take it seriously. You know, it's this kind of activity that stirs hatred in the community, much like what occurred in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, and many other places across our country. If we continue to allow hateful speech and hateful actions to occur, we're in essence turning a blind eye to the potential of violence in our community.
The sheriff says these flyers are, quote, clearly racist in nature and that he's dedicating staff to investigate them. So if you find one of these flyers outside of your home or see any of them in your neighborhood, you are asked to report it to your local law enforcement. Also, if you have any home surveillance video of these flyers being thrown on your driveway, the sheriff's office says that video would be helpful in their investigation as well.
All right, Jamie Perez reporting for us. Thank you, Jamie.
Sure.
Law enforcement in Dodge County is continuing to search for a man wanted on multiple felony warrants. Officials say around 8:30 this morning, they went to Royal Oaks Motel in the township of Hubbard to try and arrest 35-year-old Richard Erdman of Fond du Lac. Deputies say he ran from the motel into a nearby marsh. This Wisconsin State Patrol used an aircraft. Officials also used a drone and canine units to search for Erdman. Due to the terrain being marshy and wet, that search was called off, but officials are continuing to look out for him. Deputies say he is not a threat to the public.
A man involved in a standoff with Madison police and tactical SWAT team is in custody now. This happened about 1:30 this morning in the 4000 block of Monona Drive. Police say a woman ran away from her home after her roommate, a 52-year-old man, produced a gun and fired off the back porch. The woman in her 70s was able to call 911. She told police her roommate was armed with what police believed to be a shotgun. She also said her roommate had been drinking.
We are familiar with this subject. This is not our first contact with him, and he does have a criminal history as well as some mental health issues that he has struggled with. So at this point, there is no...
Police say no one was injured in that standoff.
Switching gears now, getting a look at that first alert forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti is out on the weather patio with a look at a nice evening, right, Gary?
You're right, Danica. The skies have been sunny all day, and it's actually been a pretty nice day with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. You can see on visible cloud track, we're kind of in between weather systems. The clouds to our east and clouds to our west. Eventually, those clouds to the west will come in later on tonight and bring us a chance of showers and thunderstorms. So that probably won't happen until late tonight, since those storms are still back in South Dakota and far western Minnesota. So nothing imminent across southern Wisconsin. Last night, with the cooler and drier air, temperatures dropped into the mid-50s. Here in Madison, we've dropped to 55 degrees. Current temperatures are in the mid to upper 70s. La Crosse is the warm spot at 80 degrees. And dew point temperatures are still in the low 50s. So look for skies to turn cloudy, showers and thunderstorms developing late tonight into tomorrow morning. Then we'll turn partly sunny tomorrow afternoon with a high of 78. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you so much. Democrats and Governor Tony Evers are pushing to expand background checks on gun sales here in Wisconsin.
But Republican leaders say it is unlikely state lawmakers will take up any gun control measures. Rose Schmidt live at the Capitol to explain what they're pushing instead. Rose?
Yes, Governor Evers says following recent mass shootings in other states, now is the time to pass stricter gun laws. But Republican leaders say they don't support this idea, and instead they're pushing for expanded mental health resources.
As the one-year anniversary approaches of the day a gunman opened fire at a Middleton software company.
It affected a lot of people. It took away their sense of safety, and a lot of people will be impacted by this for the rest of their lives.
Police Chief Chuck Folk is speaking at a news conference to show his support for a Democratic bill requiring background checks on all gun purchases, with just a few exemptions, including sales to firearm dealers, police officers, and military members.
I am a proponent of closing all loopholes when it comes to purchasing or possessing firearms.
This proposal would likely not have prevented the Middleton shooting because the shooter was not legally able to buy or possess a firearm. But Chief Folk says it's a start. And Governor Tony Evers says recent shootings in Texas and Ohio show enough is enough.
We've seen more and more of these events, and those in power have failed to do much other than say, geez, we're sorry. Gun violence has seemingly become a foregone conclusion.
Republican Assembly Majority Leader Jim Steineke says it's disingenuous to suggest that requiring background checks on private sales would have prevented the tragedies we've seen as a state and nation. Speaker Robin Vos says the gun control measures Evers is pushing are ineffective and, quote, very unlikely to be taken up by lawmakers. Vos says he does not support universal background checks. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald told reporters earlier this week that he doesn't either.
Universal, the trouble there is always going to be there's going to be a constituency who vote Republican, and that means registering your firearm. And they're going to be they're going to be opposed to it.
Voss is also calling for suicide prevention efforts. Now, Governor Evers has said he would consider calling a special session in order for lawmakers to take up gun control measures.
Rose Schmidt live at the Capitol tonight. Rose, thank you.
One person is displaced from their home following an apartment fire in Sun Prairie. Fire officials say this happened at a complex around 1:50 this morning. Firefighters say it started in the bathroom of one of the apartments, and they were able to contain it and save the rest of the building. All of the residents were evacuated safely. No one was injured.
A Beloit school board member says the district has made decisions that prevent the growth and success of its black leaders.
He says this explains why more than a dozen black leaders have recently left the district entirely. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter sat down with David Wilson today and joins us now from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with more. Adam?
Well, Eric and Danica, this conversation was really brought to the forefront Tuesday night, but David Wilson says it's been going on much longer than that. And tonight he says if nothing is done, leaders of color within the district of Beloit will continue to leave.
Position from a principal's position. Dr. Rochelle Brown is an assistant principal under a less qualified principal.
This is the moment David Wilson chose to speak up at Tuesday night's special school board meeting to draw attention to an issue he says has gone on for too long.
The material in question was a list of names of black staff that had recently left the district for various reasons.
Wilson was reading this post that highlights the sheer number of black leaders who have recently left the district for one reason or another. Although he says at one time, this wasn't the case.
A year ago, Beloit could hang his hat on the diversity of his staff, meaning the increase of people of color in administrative and teaching positions.
Wilson says those leaders were micromanaged, demoted, or demeaned, creating what he says is a racist culture within the district, leading 13 of those leaders to leave in the last year alone.
And while it's not dropping the N-word or hanging a noose around it's systematically.
While both the superintendent and school board president, who Wilson challenged at Tuesday night's meeting, declined on-camera interviews, they're responding tonight. Superintendent Dr. Stanley Monroe saying student achievement has been the focus and will remain the focus.
Black resigned.
But Wilson says
left the school district.
Until something changes,
Dr. Williams, black.
This list will continue to grow.
Anthony Bonds, black.
Wilson says the hardest thing about this is that he joined the school board to make a difference and to be a voice for people who didn't already have one. He says, though, he hopes this conversation continues and the district finally does something to take action against the issue.
Adam Duxter reporting for us from our bureau in Janesville. Thank you, Adam.
In an effort to reduce the impacts of climate change, local officials within Dane County created 4 groups today that will collaborate ideas. Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway and Dane County Executive Joe Parisi announced the Sustainability Leaders Collaborative, which aims to advance clean green energy programs for Dane County, each group with a specific environmental focus. The groups include solar development, renewable fuel usage or municipal fuel for municipal fleets, energy efficiency and sustainability for facilities, and green infrastructure to manage runoff from heavy storms.
It's the commitment of this community to being sustainable, to addressing climate change, to to maintain the quality of life that we so enjoy here while we grow as a community.
Both public and private sectors are looking at sustainability strategies to work toward a healthier environment. The 4 groups will reconvene in the winter to further sustainability plans and discuss the progress that each group has made.
Whether it's who they're going to sit with at lunch or how they're going to get from class to class, your kids might be starting to feel a little anxious about school starting in a couple weeks. Dr. Mandira Mera with SSM Health visited News 3 Now this morning to offer up some tips on how you can talk with your kids and maybe make them a bit more comfortable. She says it's important to reassure your children that teachers and friends are there to support them and listening to them when they say they're worried about going back to school.
If you know your child's really anxious about something, discussing that with them. You know, what are your anxieties? Not being dismissive of those anxieties, saying, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. Actually addressing them head on and saying, what can we do to discuss your anxieties? And then how can we actually work towards positive suggestions?
News 3 Now this morning is getting you and the kids ready to go back to school all month long. Tomorrow, they're talking about how you can do something good and help make sure everyone has the supplies they need to succeed this year.
All right, there's more to come on News 3 Now. At 5 up next, we're learning more about the man accused of shooting 6 police officers in Philadelphia. We'll tell you what we know.
And ahead tonight at 6, a juror explains how they determined Quintez Cephas was not guilty of sexual assault.
And on Wall Street, a little bit of progress today after the diving numbers yesterday. The Dow up 100 today. The NASDAQ still seeing red. The S&P added 7. We'll be back in a moment. Philadelphia's district attorney says the suspect in the nearly 8-hour-long gun battle with police is likely to face charges that would keep him behind bars for life. The DA says 36-year-old Maurice Hill has not been charged yet, but he expects attempted murder and firearms charges to be on the list. The police went to a house to serve a drug warrant yesterday when 6 officers were shot and wounded in that gun battle.
Just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this afternoon, the man who shot and killed 9 people in a Dayton, Ohio bar had cocaine, alcohol, and antidepressants in his system. The coroner there released those autopsy results today. Connor Betts fired 41 shots in less than 30 seconds earlier this month, killing his sister and 8 bystanders. Now, Betts died after a shootout with police. Investigators found a bag of cocaine on him as well. Police say he had an obsession with violence.
In more local news, the Wisconsin Department of Health Services says opioid deaths are at their lowest level since 2015. In 2018, there were 838 deaths. That's down 10% from the year before. Officials with the Department of Health Services say while they are encouraged by that decrease, there is still a lot of work to do.
This could be considered cautious optimism because, again, it is only 1 year, the first year of a decrease, so it is not a trend. So we're confident, again, that all of the different efforts that we're investing in are going to continue to see decreases, but it's nothing that can be guaranteed.
He says DHS is working to combat a rise in synthetic opioids. Those have been the leading cause of opioid-related deaths for the second year in a row. To achieve zero opioid-related deaths, he says we need to continue to invest in prevention, treatment, and recovery efforts statewide. All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather now. Here's Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti with your forecast. Gary?
Well, it's been a nice day today across southern Wisconsin. We're kind of in between weather systems. Early this morning, there was some patchy fog down in the Wisconsin River Valley over toward the Mississippi River. You can see that very clearly here about how that kind of lifts. We've just had sunny to partly sunny skies through the day. Out to the west, some thunderstorms across parts of North and South Dakota moving into western Minnesota will be heading in our direction. They probably won't reach us until late tonight. So right now, nothing imminent here, just a few sprinkles over southeastern Minnesota. But you can see those stronger thunderstorms. In fact, the severe thunderstorm watch in effect for parts of South Dakota now. So it'll take a while before those storms to get here. They should weaken as they move in late tonight into tomorrow morning. But we could see another round of thunderstorms, especially late Saturday afternoon and Saturday night. The Storm Prediction Center does have a marginal risk of severe thunderstorms around southwestern Wisconsin at that time. The higher risk will stay to our south and to our west. Otherwise, rainfall amounts could be heavy in some spots. This is through early Sunday morning, and it shows about a quarter to a half inch over southern Wisconsin. Much of the northern part of the state seeing more rain than that, but there'll be some heavier amounts in excess of an inch in some of the areas that see heavier thunderstorms. Otherwise, as we take a look at the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam, you can see just a few cumulus clouds starting to build up a little bit to the west. The WISC Skycam showing more fair weather cumulus with very little in the way of vertical development to cause showers to form. And the live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, a few cumulus clouds on the southeastern horizon. Otherwise, it's mostly sunny. High temperature today so far, 77 degrees after starting out a little chillier at 55. The air was dry when skies cleared out late last night. We're at 76 now. Skies are partly sunny. Dew point temperature is still pretty low at 50 degrees, so the air is dry, but that will start to increase as we head toward the weekend. Low temperatures last night because of the cooler and drier air were in the upper 40s in northern Wisconsin and generally in the 50s elsewhere, although Milwaukee was at 62 and La Crosse is at 60. Current temperatures are in the 70s with an 80-degree temperature still being recorded in La Crosse, so usually one of the warmer readings around. Dew point temperatures, again, pretty low here, but notice to the south and west are already starting to increase into the 60s, so that means the atmosphere is starting to get a little more humid. The jet stream pattern right now from west to east, a little more of a northwesterly component across Wisconsin, but these showers and thunderstorms will start tracking off toward the east and southeast and reach us late tonight into tomorrow morning. The current weather map, there's not even really a front there. It's more of a trough of low pressure that's triggering these showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures cool off a little bit where the rain has cooled the air. Otherwise, temperatures mainly in the 70s and 80s. The really warm air still across parts of Kansas where temperatures are close to the triple digits in the southwestern part of that state. So for tonight, partly cloudy skies this evening. We'll turn cloudy overnight. Some showers and thunderstorms developing toward morning with a low of 60. For tomorrow, look for morning shower and thunderstorm chances. Then we'll turn partly sunny in the afternoon with a high temperature of 78, and the humidity levels will start to increase a little bit. On future track, you can see pretty quiet for the evening hours. Shower and thunderstorm chances arrive late tonight into tomorrow morning, and then we start to clear out tomorrow afternoon as high temperatures get into the upper 70s. I think we'll stay dry tomorrow night. There could be some patchy areas of fog, and much of the day Saturday should be dry with high temperatures around 80. We could see a shower or thunderstorm chance late in the afternoon. The better chance to arrive Saturday night into Sunday morning. At that time, rainfall amounts a quarter to a half inch. Again, there could be some heavier amounts in excess of an inch in some of the heavier thunderstorms. Temperatures, though, definitely on the uptick for next week. High temperatures mid-80s for much of the week. Thunderstorm chances Monday night into Tuesday. Then again, toward the end of next weekend, notice we've had to increase the temperatures for next weekend. It looks like we'll stay warm now. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, there's the Beltline at Park Street. Pretty slow in both directions. Eastbound direction, some stop-and-go traffic there. As we look at the Beltline and the map, right now delays on the eastbound Beltline from Monona Drive all the way back to around Verona Road. Also a few delays northbound on US 12 heading out of Middleton. Right now, almost a half hour on the Beltline from University Avenue to the interstate on the Beltline. Right now, heading out of Madison down toward Janesville. You can see a 27-minute commute on the I-3990 from the Beltline down to Janesville, 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 21 minutes to Sun Prairie on US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Still ahead on News 3 Now at 5, the FDA wants to revamp cigarette labels. We'll tell you about the new graphic warning that it's proposing. That's after a short break. The FDA has unveiled graphic new health warnings it wants to add to cigarette packages and labels.
The proposed warning labels feature graphic images showing what the FDA calls the lesser-known consequences of smoking, conditions like cancerous tumors, COPD, lost limbs, and macular degeneration. Under a rule proposed by the agency, the images would appear prominently on cigarette packages and ads to protect public health. Erica Sward with the American Lung Association says the government has a responsibility to lower tobacco use.
Graphic warning labels are proven to reduce tobacco use, whether it's to prevent kids from starting to use or to prompt smokers to get the help they need to quit.
A spokesman for one of the country's largest tobacco companies says that company supports public awareness efforts on tobacco, but says the FDA's messages cannot run afoul of the law.
And stay with us. We'll have a final check of your forecast in just a moment.
On tonight's CBS Evening News, breaking news, NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s private jet crashes in Tennessee. We'll have the latest on his family's condition. Israel bans the only two Muslim congresswomen from visiting the country after pressure from President Trump. We'll tell you why even the most powerful Israeli lobby is condemning the move against the squad. And a police officer bonds with teenagers in his community by taking them to court, the basketball court. That's all tonight on the CBS Evening News.
We have one more check on weather here.
Yeah, things pretty quiet right now. A few sprinkles up toward La Crosse. We won't see our better chances for rain until sometime late tonight or tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now very comfortable, mid-70s. Dew point temperatures are low. It's a nice afternoon and early evening out there, but thunderstorm chances will go up a bit for this weekend. So will the humidity, and temperatures will be in the 80s for all of next week.
All right, Gary, thanks. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6.